3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I believe this is the part of the live stream where it's just starting to go out on all the different platforms. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have coming up and the Reinventing Network while we're making sure that this is going to work. And then we have a really awesome show. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in. It's April 2nd, 2024, and this is the Tattoo Weekly, where we talk about tattoo news, events, some of the funny things that happen. And in this case, we're going to be talking about tattoo conventions. We have a whole mess of tattoo convention promoters coming up to interview. So I'm Gabe Ripley, and this is Fawn. We're the co-hosts, and we're here to chat tattoos. So if this is working in the live streams, let us know in the comments, and then we could actually even post up some of your chats. You'll see yourself on the screen, and we'll know that it's working for you. So let us know where you're beaming in from. Okay, I'm going to start officially so that when we edit, it'll start here. Give me a second. Okay, can anybody, Fawn, can you confirm that it's working in the background, maybe?
I think it's all working on my end.
Fantastic. Okay, so welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join into these live streams, to find us at real-world events, to share, inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We're beaming out like 3 to 4 days a week, and with your help, have a pretty awesome network of tattoo shows that are getting great reviews. It's awesome. You could find Reinventing the Tattoo in these fine places, either of the app stores, pick your poison, Apple or Google. YouTube on the Roku. There's a Roku channel. There's 12 to 15 channels going 24/7, including drunk critique against our better judgment until we pull it. So just do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo in any of those spots, and you'll find everything except for the book. The book is out of print. You could find expensive copies on eBay. You'll just have to sign up to the membership, reinventingthetattoo.com. Okay. Speaking of, no matter where you're beaming in from, you could always find the latest information at reinventingthetattoo.com. There's a free newsletter there. There's no spam. It's got the event schedule with all the links for all of these shows, as well as the professional development events. Reinventingthetattoo.com/live is one of them that's coming up. And in any event, you could try out some of the free seminars. There's one, Jay Brown has an awesome history of tattooing seminar. It's like the last 100 years of electric tattooing. And he runs the Northwest Tattoo Museum. If you have an apprentice or haven't brushed up on your tattoo history and complain that everyone else doesn't know their history, you should definitely take the course. Okay, plug in the last show. So yesterday, Mondays, we have James Wisdom, Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom, 9 o'clock Eastern, and then Skill Building Mondays with Jason Leeser. We do have all sorts of guests coming up throughout the upcoming months for these shows. It's pretty awesome. Okay, people who make these shows possible and plug us, so we'll plug them. WorldTattooEvents.com is the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide, and Alex updates it like crazy. It's amazing. I tried to copy it when it first came out like 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, I could just put all of the convention information on Tattoo Now. And then, he's doing all the work. I could just copy it over. I got about a day and a half in and I was like, no way, I'm just sending people there. So worldtattooevents.com. It's got all of the conventions that exist. It's crazy. Tattoo Now for tattooers. I'm a computer geek, so I love helping tattooers get busier or save time and money in communications. Please, positive reviews on the channels, constructive criticisms and suggestions about future shows or to bring us to your event or convention or whatever. Management at reinventingthetattoo.com. Okay, there's people watching here, it looks like. Thanks for tuning in. Fawn, how goes it? This is we're doing the Tattoo Weekly live again, weekly.
Yeah. Yep, we're back to weekly. I am back off the road this week, so I'm actually like in studio on stage, not in my van fighting a rainstorm. But here we go.
Awesome. And then you've been hitting up some conventions recently. You just got back from Chicago, and you're now settled in.
Yep. I'm settled back in from Chicago. I've been working a few days here at Red Tree, so it's kind of like once I've been here for 2 or 3 days, I feel like I've kind of got my feet planted again. This afternoon, I'm actually working on my little sister, so it's kind of like a day off, but not. But yeah, while we were in Chicago, I got some pretty decent footage, I think, of some of the projects that were going on, some of the suppliers that were there. It's crazy how different of a feel. I know we're going to be talking about conventions and tattoo shows all day, but to go from like the smaller, more educational shows like you and I are a little bit more familiar with and like involved in, because I help with Hell City, and then we've got our guests today that are going to talk about their shows. A show of this caliber is so different because it's almost like a city for the weekend. It's not just like a gathering. It's like a whole metropolis of artists that are all sharing so much. So like,
How many was
first time,
it? 999 booths or 999 artists?
yeah, that's one of the things that Troy did because there's been this back and forth whether Philly's bigger or Chicago's bigger. And this past year, he was going to add more booths to Chicago and make Chicago bigger, but instead he decided to cap both shows at 999. So Philadelphia and Chicago 9 booths. They're the same size, same amount of people, same vendors, same everything, just different locations, but different of a vibe. Um, but these big shows are wonderful if you don't get overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many people there. If you can go and see the things you want to see, they're wonderful events. Where a lot of the events that we're going to talk about today are a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, a little bit more like niche. If you show up to Hell City, you know what to expect. If you show up to Jesse Smith's show, you know what to expect. If you show up to Tony's shows, you know what to expect. But these big ones, there are so many people from so many different parts of the country and different parts of the world that it's really kind of like this, like a microcosm, like a huge microcosm of what our whole
Sure.
industry is like all in one weekend.
My
So
blood pressure rises. Like, you could fit all of Paradise in like 1/10 of one of the rows in some of those shows.
mhm.
And but to your point, like just as far as roaming around and meeting people, and there's a large volume, So for me, I've been still staying away from super large crowds. I'll hit up Hell City. And to your point,
Mhm.
it's like Hell City is one of the larger, but it's still a medium size. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
where
like
you go as far as size goes, but
the
it's
the difference between a couple hundred booths and 1,000 booths is huge. Like the
sure.
organization that must go into it. I mean, I'm close enough to Derb and his managers that I can hear what it's like tracking people down and tracking down not only payments but paperwork, what artists are coming, who's doing what, and like for Hell City, pretty much everybody's got like all of their stuff together and ready to go, and most people have attended before and know what to expect, but there's still like those stragglers, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine the team that Troy must have behind the scenes to keep everything rolling. Like
Sure. Well,
I,
not
I
to detract or anything, right? But there is a difference in level of detail, right? So
mhm,
Hell City and all the and Richmond and all the people that are coming on, they have shows where there's an attention to detail that is just really hard to scale. Like every weekend traveling around, like
mhm,
sure Circus does it, or there's like I'm sure there's those are events that you can move, like Hell City with that level of detail, but like to do that
mhm.
every weekend. That would be, again, there's just, there are different types of shows, right? Everywhere you look at Hell City, is decked out. You see the logos, you see the colors. You can't miss it. When you have a
Yeah.
big ass hall, massive concrete floor show. It's just, again, to your point. We want to go to them with different expectations of different types of shows.
hmm Well, one of the big things, like preparing for a show like Hell City that's in a ballroom on a carpeted floor, you can walk around barefoot all weekend. You can walk around in flip flops, but when you're on a show that's got a concrete floor and like an expo hall or something like that, you got to plan accordingly. You got to wear comfortable shoes. You got to take care of your legs and back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for me. That's probably the biggest thing that I physically do is to just I when I'm doing one of these huge shows where I know it's not going to be like 2 miles of walking throughout the day. It's going to be 10 or 12 miles of walking throughout the day, working my way all the way around and zigzagging. I really have to take my body and my health into consideration a little bit more in these big shows. But I
Yeah.
love it. I'm addicted. Whether it's a
Haha.
huge show like this that pulls the whole industry together, or whether it's a small niche show that pulls a specific community of artists together. I love both for so many different
Sure.
reasons.
Well, speaking of, why don't we tune in? We've got our guests here, so let's start chatting tattoo conventions with 3 other tattoo convention promoters. So we'll bring everybody on at once, and then we can. This is your last chance to like tell everybody to subscribe or whatever, or check out your shit. I'm going to pop out because there's an odd number of cameras here. I'm going to. Where am I? How come I can't take myself away?
Come on,
Give me a
Gabe,
second
get it
here.
together.
Ah,
Press
hi.
the
Here we go.
buttons. Do the things. There we go.
The real owner just showed up. All right, guys, you ready? Sorry.
If I try to broadcast from my house, my animals are in every shot. Or like if you can't see them, they're sitting on my lap just outside of the screen. So you'll see like a tail come up and hit me in the face. So
That's
if I come
amazing.
to the shop, we don't have to worry about that. But
Yeah, I had to lock myself in my office because my dogs will just sit on top of my feet because they know they can't see everybody, but they can hear you guys. So they'll just plant themselves on my feet where I can't move. So I'm like, I'm locking you guys out today.
This guy just talks constantly, and he wants to be held constantly. So every time we're on conference calls, I got to hold him or he'll just scream the whole time.
Yeah, just call him the producer and roll with it.
Yeah, that's my old man producer. That's the boss. We call him Rubber Kitty. That's like our mascot.
That's awesome. So who wants to start talking about their upcoming event first?
Who's coming up first? Indy's coming up first. So
is Indy? I think, yeah, we're June 14th through the 16th this year. We're at a new location, so that's pretty exciting. You can check everything out, indytattooexpo.com. We are on our 4th year. We're headed into a new location. We kind of outgrew the other location, and we've added a lot of outdoor events like the circus and things like that coming this year. Trying to really dial it back. So if you don't know about Indy Tattoo Expo, kind of a 1920s themed expo. And I did that for a few reasons. One, it's the most artful decade of, like, that's when art started being sold and people started using it. But also a lot of people don't realize that the Indy Tattoo Expo, or the tattoo expos in themselves, kind of started with the circus in the 1920s, with the tattooed man and stuff like that. So just trying to bring a little bit of tattoo history back. We do usually have around 100 years of tattoo history on display, between about 5 different collectors. So we're a small scale. We're like, you guys were talking at different scales. We're about 125 tattoo booths, with the new location, and about 40 vendor booths. So nothing massive like the Villain Arts. I do love going to those shows and meeting and connecting, but I love the more intimate shows personally.
Yeah.
And Chris, is the new location in a hotel?
No, our new location is actually at the fairgrounds, just down the street from where our hotel was. The closest hotel is about 5 miles from us, so it's not far from there. That's the only thing I didn't really care for with the new location, because I love being that one's in the hotel.
Yeah.
But with the way the town and this location is a beautiful location. When I went and checked it out, it wasn't like just the big barn buildings or nothing like that. It's actually pavilion building with built-in stage and nice stuff like that. But one interesting thing we do have this year on location, there is the possibility to camp, like have RVs and stuff. They have full total hookup RVs, which again takes me back to the old days of like the World Fair. You'd see, the big event tents, and then down the corner would see, all the carnies in their little trailers and stuff. So we have a nice area for that, and you can also like kind of like Airbnb, they'll drop off an RV there, so you don't have to pull one in. They'll drop off one, and it's about the same cost as a hotel, and then they just pick it up when you're done. So that's kind of, yeah, it's a pretty cool little aspect we came up with. I see Trina there in the center as we're scrolling through there. So my partner in Indy Tattoo Expo is Trina Sanders, and her dad taught me how to tattoo 31 years ago. Yeah, so having her be part of, she managed my shop, and then we led into, working Indy together. And I might be the one that gets out here and does all this crazy stuff, but Trina is actually the heart of Indy Tattoo Expo. I mean, if you dealt with her, if you're an artist that comes there, Trina, she's so thorough. She's on it. I couldn't do the show without Trina, to be honest. That's the number one person at Indy Tattoo Expo right there. And being that her dad was, my mentor, it's just that much more special. And that's why we put the history with it, try to represent and not let, some of our mentors get forgotten, because tattooing is blowing up so big that some of the fundamentals of what tattooing is a little bit missing or lacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I have my partner Elizabeth Clay, who's actually my wife, she's the backbone of it too, man. I'm more of the face of it and the PR guy and the advertising, social, prop design, all that. All the I call it the fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
When it comes, let me put my cat down. When it comes to the organization, that's where Elizabeth steps in, man. That she's got it down. So I definitely. It'd be a struggle to do it without her. Let's just say that. Like, there's no I in team to make a successful show. I've learned that I can't do it myself. That's for sure. And you got to trust in other people and work with other people, and sometimes take leaps of faith, because I'm just so specific about details and everything that I do that I'm picky. I want things to be perfect and right and impress. And as promoters. And being in the spotlight in the industry, you guys all know that it doesn't feel good to disappoint. So it's a constant struggle to strive to please and do better. That's just in my nature. So, yeah, adding people in to help, like Elizabeth. Well, not adding, but partners like Elizabeth just really make it so much easier, the workflow easier, and just the ideas that bounce back and forth in your teams just explode, and it's fun. I love that aspect of it, like coming up with silly posts and fun things to do. Like our show is pretty, the vibe's pretty, I would say. We try to go for family friendly, fun, pop culture kind of aspect of it. Theme wise, we come up with different themes. So just working together with that team, man, it's amazing. So Chris, I hear you when you say that, like the backbones are there in the team. I hear you talking about your team. And I think that's awesome, man. And
Yeah, my team's great. Not only, Trina, but the group of women that she's put together that have been our, really our backbone. I mean, the volunteers, I think a lot of people don't give enough credit to those people and realize, like, all of us can agree without those people, it's not possible. I mean, we can do as much as we want, but without, I have 30 volunteers, and, like, 10 or 15 of them are like a core group that we now do regular things with monthly to make sure that there's that appreciation and they stay involved, because these people, while they're volunteers, I mean, they take it as personal as any of us, and it's amazing to see that we're doing something that means so much to people. And some of these people aren't even in the tattoo industry other than clients, you know what I mean? So to
right.
see that we've done something that makes them enjoy and want to be a part of something so bad just as a volunteer, like sometimes that just overwhelms me, you know what I mean? Just to see how, I mean, I think that's my biggest thing with the Tattoo Expo. And, ours is a smaller scale, so it's not like a big money thing. It's like an elevation thing. And to see how tattooing elevates and touches so many people in and outside the industry, um man, I think that's what expos are about, is kind of showing people that magic and giving clients the chance to experience like what their hard work's paid for, because I mean they go to work and spend a whole paycheck on one session with one of us, and for them to have the opportunity to come and experience what that entails and see a little bit more of our job and actually get to show off their work, I think that's the important part.
Being
You in on
involved
this,
with shows.
Jess?
Oh, sorry. Being involved with different shows and stuff the way that I am, it's really cool, because I feel like a lot of times I have like the ultimate backstage pass. Like I get to see all the organization that goes into it. I get to see all the technology that goes into it. I get to see all the volunteers that go into it. But at the end of the day, I love just walking through a show with like the spectator's point of view, like just walking through, like, for somebody that doesn't live in this community and doesn't like eat, sleep, and breathe it like we do as tattooers. If you're somebody that's only a collector, or you're somebody that's just curious, I like to imagine what it's like for that person to walk through the show, the person that doesn't have the backstage pass and all the behind the scenes chaos and things like that. I like to just walk through the show and experience it the way that the attendees experience it. And I feel like that's where the magic is. I remember being a young tattooer, and like I was hungry for any kind of educational convention that I would go to, could go to. Early on I was like every year I went to Hell City, I went to the Motor City Expo, I started attending the Paradise events. So it's really cool to like have those shows be so pivotal in my own tattoo education and my own like growth as an artist, that now I can be on the other side of it and I can see like other collectors and other tattooers walk through the shows with like the same amazement and same wonder I had in my first 2 and 3 and 4 years of tattooing. So like on top of like the family element and the like elevating a community altogether, there's this wonderment of like almost like a freshman move-in day for college. Like you're just seeing all this hustle and bustle of all the people that have all the same questions or different questions, but all the same passions. And I think it's just a really special thing for young tattooers to like, you know, maybe you're not ready to work the conventions, like maybe you're not at that level yet, but like to just attend, to just buy that weekend pass and stay at the show all day and look at pieces getting done from start to finish, to like watch what your favorite artists are actually using. You know, online we can see who's sponsored by what and we can see all the marketing stuff. When you actually look at somebody's setup and you can see the colors they're using or the colors they're not using, you can see the needles they're using, you can see the machines they're using, you can see how a person in this booth might be babying their client, and the next booth over you got somebody that might be like, suck it up buttercup, we got to get this done now. So you get to see like, you know, in a very short span of time you get to see all these different ways of working on clients and working with people. And you can sit like, if you're clever enough and you are listening close enough, you can listen to consultations as people are just talking with people in the crowd. You can hear those ideas being brainstormed about. And for me, that's, you know, we can talk about the setup of the show, we can talk about the headaches, the stresses, the things like that. But the important thing, the most important thing that we all have to offer within these shows that we're helping with and we're putting on and we're promoting is we are educating the next generation of tattooers. Like whatever hand we have in it, we're helping that next generation of tattooers understand what we've gone through. And that's not only community building, but it's also like, you know, educating the whole community. And just by having that chaotic vibe next to one another, we're all leveling up together. And then for those of us that have been around a while, we're helping the next people level up. And I think that's, I don't know, it's invaluable as a collector or a tattooer.
Speaking of generations of leveling up, Jesse, you kind of got involved with a tattoo convention that, you know, is probably older than most of the tattooers, you know, watching the show, or maybe not watching this show. But you want to talk a little bit about picking up a show when it's like 20 years in and then, you know, running with it?
Yeah. Sorry. My voice is kind of gone. I got a little sick the past week or so, but sounding like RFK over here. But I took over the Richmond Tattoo and Arts Festival in 2016. So this convention's been going on since 1988. And back then it was ran by this guy named Grandpa Groovy. And, you know, all the big names from the industry have been going there since the beginning. You know, Tony, your boy Paul Rogers, did his last tattoo at that convention. I think it was in '89. He might have done his last tattoo. Lyle Tuttle was there, Gil Monty, you know, all the biggest names from back in the days have attended this convention, which is pretty awesome. And definitely a lot of pressure as well to try to maintain that, you know, the integrity of the historical value of this convention, but also continually to push forward and, you know, try to find the best talent that today has to offer. It's a tough juxtaposition to try to maintain in this particular convention, but I don't know if I answered your question. But yeah, it's been tough. This is I actually commend people like Tony and Chris and even yourself who have actually proactively started a convention on your own, because I don't know that I ever would have done that. You know,
I'll tell you,
Don't know
my
if I
first
would've
year
either.
too. Yeah, my first year, I don't know what I was thinking when I got into it, and then COVID shut us down. So then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I knew this was a bad idea. What was I thinking? You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I'm already invested and it's such a bad idea. Which it ended up working out being better. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know which one I would rather be, like starting my own because I'm the one that fell, or like I think the pressure was more on you, Jesse, to uphold something that's already so badass and so well known. With us, yeah, there's a lot of work in that foundation and a lot of fear, but man, I don't know, to come in behind somebody like that and run it. And I just found a bunch of old flash from Grandpa Groovy too, so it's kind of cool.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice.
Yeah, I
to
just
to
picked
come
up an
in
old
behind
article.
legends like that and then to be able to withhold that, man, all commends to you, man. I mean, I've been following your work and looking up to you for decades in tattooing, so
Thank you, man.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
No,
Yeah,
thank you
it's
for
been
being a leader.
tough. Thanks, man. It's been tough. It's there was a definitely I when I took over the convention, a lot of the people that were working the convention had been tattooing or had been in the industry longer than me. So it was like trying to keep them happy, but also realizing that, the thing that made this convention what it is, what it was back in the days was bringing in the best tattoo artists in the world. I mean, back when Billy Eason was throwing it, I mean, I started working the Richmond convention probably in like 2000 and 2001, somewhere in there. I used to work for Billy Eason. And the first time I worked the convention, I was actually airbrushing in the foyer out front of the main ballroom. And it was, it was Paul Booth, Guy Atchison, John Klug, Grime, Dino Cook. I mean, every tattoo artist, Bugs, every tattoo artist that was making any waves back then was working the Richmond convention. And that was, I'd like to think that if Billy was throwing the convention today, or any of those guys were throwing the convention today, they would still try to find the best tattoo artists that the industry has to offer. But when you have a convention that's old, you still have to like make sure that you're catering to the people who helped build this convention into what it is today. And so that's just been a tough struggle, because the people who have helped build it into what it is today don't want to see it change into anything other than what it was. And so it's really a difficult juggling act to try to keep everybody happy in that capacity.
I bet.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jess. I've been doing Richmond. I think Skyver took me to my first one in 2001, 2002. And I kind of remember you airbrushing. Actually, I was just sitting there trying to run back through my memory. But look at that creepy guy. But I went there in the time of Billy Easton, and Richmond has always been like the diamond, just like the top convention in the world since I started tattooing. I remember like picking up old issues of Tattoo Magazine and seeing all like Guy Atchison, Paul Booth. But I mean, even older guys that I didn't realize who they were. It's like dudes like CC Ryder, who like paved the way in the biker generation for us, so to speak, biker generation. But I was there to witness the new school switchover and how Billy incorporated that into, and I think Billy was innovative as well. And I would think he would say, Jesse, you're doing a hell of a job. You have evolved it, and you're inclusive of everybody in every generation. And the way you take care of your people is just, it was part of a model for my show too. It was inspirational. Yeah, Richmond to me, it is. It's just like, if some other shows were just qualifying shows, yours is the finals, dude. Like, that's it. To get a trophy from Richmond is just like an achievement. It took me 21 years to get one. And that was like, okay, I'm good. Mic drop. I don't care what I do. I got that one that I've wanted since, I was 20 years old. Now I was 53. It's a lot of work.
That's awesome. Which one did you win? Was it last year?
It was just a small color on Tony LaFianza. It was not last year because I wasn't there. That was the first year I've ever missed your show because of
last year.
Reasons. Yeah. I couldn't make it, but it was the year before.
Whenever anybody's complimenting my show, I feel like I have to throw a nod to Gabe, Paradise Tattoo Gathering, and I also have to throw a nod to Derb from Hell City, because as far as I'm concerned, all the best shows have stemmed from all my favorite shows have stemmed from them and the way that they throw conventions.
Oh yeah.
And when I first took over this convention, the first person I hit up was Derb. I said, Derb, what do I do, man? How do I do this? And Derb was very, he gave me information without even thinking twice about it. Just very giving. And, of course, Gabe's always been very giving. Gabe helped me out with the first couple conventions I threw as well. So I really appreciate those two conventions specifically.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Just real quick, just to be clear, when before we did Paradise, I was like, Derb, you have to, come to New England, and do a show, Hell City, New England. And he was like, yeah, I'm headed out to Arizona. And but then he was like, but I'll help you run a show. And I was like, I had this fucking sinking pit. I'm like, oh my God, fucking did Derb just say he was going to help me run a show? That means I have to, run a show. Like, I mean, I don't really want to. And I didn't quite have the location yet. And it took another 6 months to a year to find it. But he came out and we wouldn't have, he helped us get Paradise off, like literally by coming out and setting up the shit with his crew. And after a couple of years, we were off on our own doing our thing. But also for me, I can't take any sort of nods without passing it right over to Derb and being like, and my wife for the education part, but and Guy for the education part, but Derb for for all the other stuff.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. I mean, when I first started Indy, me and Derb, fortunately, we only live 3 hours apart, so we kind of get a little bit closer. But hitting him up, and I mean, I'd been following Derb for 20 years as one of my inspirations in tattooing anyway, just through other things, not even the expo, just tattooing and how he motivated and promoted himself and was always involved in something. And like you said, Gabe, as soon as I called him, I was like, yo, man, and he just told you like it was nothing. And then, the first year Indy, he's like, you know what, I'm going to be there and I'll meet you every morning and we'll talk about what's going to happen today. And then I'll meet you at the end of the night and we'll talk about it. And like, man, like you said, though, it's kind of like, oh shit, Derb's coming. Now I really got to put on a show. Can't be no mistakes here. But having that knowledge and then the connection of the people that, he's introduced me to and building a relationship with Fawn, like she's been a big help and even helping Indy go and promote it and get it going the first few years. So just the team that they've created there and being able to watch. Unfortunately, I only made it to Richmond once when I was a younger kid. And it is also part of the reason why I started Indy Tattoo Expo because when I was younger, I had 4 kids and could, to travel like that was a lot. So I felt like putting one in my town was going to make it so that kids didn't miss out like I did, because there's so much I look back and I'm like, man, I met these guys in the end of their career. I only went to Richmond once, and I've only been to this one or that one a few times. I've only been to Philly like maybe 5 or 6 times, and so it gave it an opportunity for some of these younger guys to be able to show up and meet some of us and enter contests without having to leave town and cost them so much. And that was what was important on a local level to me for local artists, because being that young, basically poor artist, I couldn't afford to travel and and do all that. So that was what was huge to me. And then now to see all of us, like me and Tony was talking the other day, and just all of us coming together like this as community and tattooing, and then it all falls back to showing that, hey, Derb kind of helped push a lot of us into this direction. Like I think that's just huge.
To the opposite of that, when I started tattooing and I was starting to take this very seriously and trying to figure out what my direction or the path that I was going to carve out, when I was trying to figure out what that was, I had decided that like I wanted to put on a show one day. I had decided that was like a goal of mine, and I wanted to like kind of climb. I wanted to have a few studios. I wanted to have my own show. I wanted to do all the things. And then after getting close with Derb, that's not my goal. That's not my goal at all. When I see all these like younger tattooers trying to start their own shows from scratch, I'm like, okay, you go ahead and do that. That seems like a year and a half of misery and a year and a half of stress, where what I see that Derb has, we talk about Derb as if it's him, but there's Derb and then there's this incredible team behind him. He has a manager
Yes.
for each project, and each one of those managers, I'm going to say, is equally as talented as he is. Like everybody's got their own lane, and the way that everybody communicates and makes these things happen is pretty magic. But just coming into the industry and not having a team like that would make it impossible to put on a successful show. Like you have to have that team behind you. I know we've all talked about the teams that you guys have, and it is pretty awesome to be able to see this machine working so close up, but it's also like, oh yeah, that's not going to be the thing that's going to make me happy. I'm just going to keep making my tattoos and doing my day in and day out stuff because I personally don't want the stress. I've come to the conclusion that I don't have anything to prove. I don't need to put on a show just to like drag people for my own pumping me up. So when you guys all have like your own motivation, you've all got your niche that you're pushing. You've got this thing that each one of you is educating. I feel like for all of these newer shows that are popping up left and right, I just wonder what the motivation for those tattooers to even put that show on. Like, are you putting that show on to hustle and make money? Are you putting that show on to glorify yourself? Because both of those reasons are gonna lead to a poor show.
I
It's
think
just the
that's the
wrong
problem.
You
motivation.
see him chomping at the bit right here.
I really think that's the problem with a lot of new shows. And, Fawn's known, I've experienced a few of the ones that weren't put together because too many people are doing it to exploit tattooing and it's what it's created. And they're doing it for every wrong reason, for money or self glorification. Like, um, it doesn't matter. It should be about elevating the people around you. You know what I mean? If they didn't know that Chris Taylor put it on, I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? And I'm really not even a big name in the industry, realistically, outside of my little area. You know what I mean? But it worked out because I put it on for other people. I put it on using, the promoting everyone versus, hey, this is the Chris Taylor show. Like, no one cares. You know what I mean? And then obviously with the detail and stuff I put in, and each artist, we give them a gift when they come in every year. And I'm not making a lot of profit off of indie, to be honest with you. My profit is in elevating tattooing. I remember, back to talking about Villain Arts in Chicago last year. I walked around the corner and there was like some young dudes sitting there, and then there was some rockabilly dudes, and then there's like this history section. I kind of caught a glimpse of all of them at one time, and I walked up to Troy and I was just like, man, like, thank you. Like, as a kid, when I first started tattooing at 15, I thought tattooing would be that big, but you never think you'd see it. And then you walk in and you see that somebody's put that much time, money, and promotion into tattooing, that he's, enlarged our thing. And I just thought, it just reminded me again why I did tattooing. It was about elevating. A lot of people can have their reasons and think, oh, hell, our Villain Arts are so big, it's about the money. That guy didn't start out about the money. He started out with so much wanting to make it better. I think that, enough people came to it and it just grew on its own. So I think there's a lot to be said. And like what you were saying, Fawn, is people just, a lot of shows, and I think that's where it's key that promoters like us come together, talk about what should we expect from shows, and why should be people putting them on. And I mean, it's crazy. Everybody always talks about a vetting process for this or that, and it's impossible to do something like that. But man, I wish our community would stick together and not just do it to glorify somebody or themselves to go get a trophy, because there's so many of these shows that are, I hate to say it, man, they're irrelevant to tattooing. While it's great that some people are getting a little bit out of it, some of these shows are more damaging to tattooing than they are. I mean, I showed up at a show and me and Gil Monty are sitting there with no booth that we were promised. Like, we're both in a corner, like, yo, I'm like, and we're in Florida, and I'm like, dude, this is like Gil Monty, and he didn't have a booth. What the hell is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, you should
Is
go
this
over and take
Tampa?
somebody's. Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I'd have gave
I
Gil
like-
my
It
shoes.
still ended up being a good weekend though, Chris. We hung out at the Hard Rock. We had a good time. It wasn't at the show, but we still had fun.
No.
I saw the Clydesdale horses, got to play with them. That was a
Well,
once
I
in a
like this
lifetime event.
year. I like this year when one artist posted that he went there and the same thing happened. Of course, it got canceled the day before, and he said, "Well, I guess I'll just turn it into a vacation." And again, this is where my problem is my daughter went down there. She's a 2-year tattoo artist. To turn it into a $3,000 vacation that she didn't plan on is not cost effective to these young artists that are trying to make it and survive, and they're going to these shows to get something out of it, and all she got out of it was a paid expense paid vacation.
Did it get
that's
canceled this year?
The day before
Yeah.
they canceled it.
Wow.
one of the things
Dude.
that when I rolled down there with Derb and we met
Yeah.
you year before last. That's one of the things that I was thinking is like, think about these young tattooers that rolled in here on false promises and like fumes in their gas tank and,
Mhm.
begged and borrowed the money to get there. And then they didn't have a booth
Well,
or
and
the
I'm a
booth
man of my
wasn't
word.
adequate.
Yeah, I'm a man of my word. So I mean, you see me there. I was on a cane. I could barely walk. You know, I mean, but I told him I would be there. So I showed up, and then it was a blast. And then, you know, brought my daughter, trying to get her to her first conventions and stuff. And yeah, it was really taxing on her, you know, and myself. But that, man, I can't say enough about like the damage that those can do. And then, you know, the thing is, it's sad is, again, there was 1 million views on the video of me at that convention, and people still signed up for that. You know what I mean? I mean, it was shared by a lot of high powered, like known artists who shared the video of what happened. And I don't know if you've seen it or not, Jesse, but I heard Tony, but like basically I walked up to the guy and I tried to fight his ass. I'm in a cane. I told him how he
I
was
saw it,
disrespecting.
yeah.
He's not a tattoo artist, you know what I mean? And I walked up and just told him how I felt about it. And I turned around and told all the artists who stayed there that how I felt about them as well. And for people to go back another year, when I seen the post this year, I got on there and I literally laughed and I said, ha ha, that's what you guys get for not paying attention. And I didn't care if it came across wrong or not, because you guys are so out for yourself and not out for the industry that you ignored. I mean, Derb's hanging a banner in the air video, and you're still gonna go back to this convention. You know what I mean? Like, um, so man, I was stoked to get on this, to be on here with people who actually care about what's happening in tattooing, because of that event just happened. When Tony called me the other day, I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to get on there and be, you know, talk with you guys about this, because there's a thing where that, you know, these tattoo conventions that are just popping up, they are just for money. They're to exploit tattooing, and then that is detrimental to damage of young tattoo artists, or of tattoo conventions in general. You know what I mean?
Mhm. You don't want the public to just see a tattoo shows as hustles, and that's the disheartening thing, because like I was saying earlier, I always looked at conventions as potential learning opportunities. Like, I didn't know what artist I was going to watch do what projects, but like I knew if I showed up at a convention, I'm going to learn, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to do these things. So when you've got these shows that are promoted for money or for, you know, self glorification, i guess I guess here's my question. If I, as a tattooer, if I'm spending, let's just round up, let's just say I'm spending $1,000 on a booth, and let's round up and say I'm spending $1,000 on a hotel, and I'm spending $500 to $1,000 to get there. Okay, there's $3,000 that I've spent for the weekend as a tattooer. If I'm organized, I'm going to make that back. But if I'm not, like, as a tattooer, what do I get out of that? Like, I'm just paying money when I could have sat at home and made more money in my own shop, and it wouldn't have cost me a dime. So when we have these expos, when we have these shows, what what is it that the person that travels there, be it the collector, be it the tattooer, what are we getting out of it? Each one of your shows, we get something. And it just so happens that all of your shows have this underlying theme of like history. And, you know, Tony, you've got all the machine building history and knowledge. And, you know, I feel like when I go to any of your guys' shows, I can leave with a sense of belonging to this bigger thing. I can leave with a sense of belonging to this thing that predates me and predates the people that I've learned from. And when we go to a show that's just been put on by somebody that's been tattooing for 5 or 6 years, and they've figured out that they can hustle and make money and make connections, when I spend $3,000 to go to that show, what do I leave with that I couldn't have gotten sitting at home in my own studio with my own regular clients that also didn't have to spend $2,000 to travel to wherever we are? So I think as we talk about conventions, if you're going to put an event on, what are you giving back? If you can't answer that question with anything that you're giving back to the community, you probably shouldn't be promoting shows. Like, it's too much work to put into to not be contributing something back to the community. If you're just taking money from collectors and tattooers, go find another hustle. Go organize a car show. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you could do the same thing and not exploit people.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you, Fawn. There are a lot of people out there, a lot of shows. So let me roll back a little bit. When I started doing shows, like I was going to Richmond, I was going to Hell City. There was so much value in these shows as far as educational experience, ambience, and learning. So I have seen some of the newer shows. I'm not going to point out or call anybody out on this, but it is a cash grab. You can see it. There's nothing offered. It's just throwing all these younger generation kids into a giant warehouse with no entertainment, no promotion, and just making money off of them. And these kids don't know any better. And I guess why we're here as a group is to show this, that the reason why Richmond's been around for 33 years, why Chris started, why I started, and why our blueprints are very, very similar. Why Derb started was the positive promotion. And you have to see the value in the shows that we do. And I appreciate you bringing up my show and saying you see how I'm rooted into the machine building aspects of things, and we incorporate that. But we also bring in entertainment. Jesse brings entertainment. The one thing I borrowed from Jesse was the fact that he had a specific, like, it was almost a backstage room just for artists to withdraw and go back to. And he catered food to them every day, like lunch, and there's always snacks, there's always water. You can always pull back off the floor because the floor is so intense sometimes as an artist, specifically for someone like me who just, it gets a little wild and I need to take a break. But Jesse offered that, and that's one of the rare things I saw in a promoter that really said to me, like, hey, this guy Jesse really cares about everybody, all his guys. And his demeanor and the way he ran his show, the art, everything's very professional. So as a package, those are the kind of shows that I'm attracted to as an artist. Not only that, is the caliber of artists that he brings in and how selective he is. Like, we always said back in the day, someone's got to die for you to get into Richmond, because the waiting list I know is impeccably long. And
not someone, Mike Skyver.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike dragged me along for my first one. I was like, how the fuck did I get here? Sorry to use that word. How did I get here I'm sitting next to Jack Rudy, I'm sitting next to Guy Atchison, and I'm just me. And I'm like, this was my dream. And I feel like that dream should be at every show. Like the way I felt as a young man in the industry, looking up to my heroes and being accepted by them in that small room, and have them talk to me and shake their hands and like talk shop, dude, that's why I do it. And that's why I love it. It is stressful fun. I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of moving parts, but I would do it. I would do it every fucking weekend if I could, because I love the camaraderie. I love giving back. I love that feeling. And it's just something I'm personally addicted to. And I try to give that back to those young guys. Derb said, like, I've talked to Derb many times about conventions. He said something prolific to me personally. Jesse was there. It was when we did that thing at Red Tree with Reinventing the Tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking conventions. He goes to me, I don't know why you want to do this. There's no money in it. I said, well, I love it. He's like, it's something that I think about. The conversation went on, but the point came to this, was like, I would much rather have a person that's hungry, that's new to this industry, that's cool as a cucumber in Hell City, instead of someone who's a total rock star, who's the best, who's a rock star asshole. He's like, give it back. Let somebody else elevate. And I embrace that. And those are two things, what Jesse does and what Derb does, that I embrace and I incorporate personally. And thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
And I know Chris does it too. You can hear it in his voice. It goes without saying, Jess, like, seriously, dude, I tell you this all the time. You're an icon. Your art, your personality, your demeanor, what's the same basically, and the way you run your convention. You are by far one of my biggest heroes. And I want to put that out there in the world. So you need to tell this, dude. He's awesome. Everybody.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I love the fact that we have each other to fall back on. And like I said, I think it was Skyver. You brought up Skyver. He was at my show, and he's like, I look around, and I look at some of these guys, and I just walk over, and I'm like, you're just a fucking tattoo artist, right? Get your head out of your ass. Like, he's so raw with people, you know what I mean? But, I think he, as brash as he comes across, though, it's nice because sometimes he reminds those rock stars that you're just a tattoo artist like everybody else in the room here, buddy. And he loves to see the young, hungry guy, too. And I think that's why, somebody that age still gets out and does it, because for Skyver, it's not to necessarily run into all of us that he knows. Sometimes he loves, like I've seen him just go nuts when he finds a young guy that's interested. You know what I mean? And to see him stand there and just go on and see this guy's face light up that was never interested in it before, but he threw that catchy joke out there that got him over there in the first place.
Yeah.
And then now, and so yeah, I love seeing the hungry people and seeing, I've been blessed to follow behind people like Jesse Derb, some of these other shows that have been going on forever, and be able to pay attention to what's happening there. Yeah, I remember the first year Trina was, come up to me like Sunday, and we'd realized we hadn't made nothing. Or not the first year, the second year. We hadn't made nothing. We'd put so much entertainment on there to make sure there was entertainment for everybody, that at Sunday she was like distraught. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, but we've solidified what Indie Tattoo Expo is and what it does. And I'm pumped up like we made $1 million that weekend. And I knew we were at a flat bust. Like, we didn't make a fucking dollar. But I was excited that, I could tell that the love everybody had for Indy. I could tell what it had done for the community. And I would have thought that was probably my best year, knowing I was walking out with literally no money. And Trina was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this again. I'm like, yeah, but look what we did for our community. Like, that's got more value than the money, you know what I mean? And, value isn't in dollars. Value is in the people around you that get elevated. And I thought that year 2 was our least paid year. And I went back to Durban. I'm like, man, bro, like, do you make money off these shows? Is this worth it? He was like, not really, man. It's a big commercial for everything else you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things, Chris, you and I are both close enough to Derb that we've heard enough of the stories to know, like, there have been many years with Hell City that he didn't break even. After reinvesting everything from the previous year, he took a loss. Fortunately, Derb has he's smart with his money, so that if one business takes a loss, the other one kind of makes up for it. But the reality is if you're putting on a show like this, it's got to be for the passion and for the love of putting on a show. That's what makes it successful. If you're looking at the dollars, it's a lot of work. Let's say you do make, $100,000 off of a show. By the time you've paid yourself, your 3 managers, and your entertainment, you actually did not make $100,000. You broke even if you're lucky.
Yeah, I was negative going in the first year. I came out of pocket over 10,000.
Yeah, or if you do the math, you end up realizing that you worked for about $2 an hour all year long.
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
But
somebody told me, they're like,
you
well, man,
said,
you made
Chris,
10 grand for 3 days, and I'm like, 3 days? This wasn't a 3-day event for me. It might have been for you, but this isn't 3 days. You know what I mean?
I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, it is time to start moving on to our next segment, where I've got this fella Saga's portfolio fired up. So I don't know if you guys want to let everybody know where to find you and then sign off. If you want to stick around and check out these tattoos and comment nice things about them, but
yeah,
we do need to stay attention to the time. We don't have a buzzer, but I hear it in the back of my head now.
You're the buzzer, huh, Gabe?
It's coming.
Yeah, I've checked out Saga's work before. It's nice.
Let me fire him up here and see if we can get this. Let's see how we can show this. Click show.
Gabe, I apologize, man. I got a meeting that I got to hop into, but I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Bye,
Tony, Chris, Fawn.
Thanks for
Hey,
joining.
talking to you guys.
Talk to you soon.
We'll
I
talk
love
to
to
you.
get
Have
out
fun,
and see
man.
your
All right,
show.
see ya.
Yeah. Feel better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is. Oh, let me. I'm going to change my name here so that it says Ink by Saga. Ink by Saga. I was judging. I think I was judging. I don't know. I was up in Canada, and I saw some of his work, and I was immediately like,
yeah, I was
that
going
looks
to say,
like it's
pinch
fucking-
in on some of this. I want to see super details. Pinch in.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we're
his
at
work is so
the.
smooth.
I got like a full leg the size of a fingernail I'm looking at.
Sorry. Well,
that's okay.
Man.
the,
You know what? The one thing I have to say I love about
Do you need an
the
apprentice?
Does he need an
He's
apprentice?
doing
No kidding.
seminars, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the technology lets these guys put down some stuff now that's just insane.
Patience, man. It's patience.
A lot of patience.
Well, it's understanding of art, coloration, and how your equipment works as well, but it's patience.
Yeah, I like you said that. One of my mentors after I'd been tattooing for probably 10 years was Junior Purvis. And
Wow.
when I came to work with him, I mean, I was intimidated to death because he was doing stuff like this before these guys had iPads. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Junior understood art, so he could
Yeah.
do it. And I kind of kept my tattooing and art separate, if that made any sense, until he's like, you do those paintings, you can do that on people's skin, right? And I'm like,
Right.
oh yeah, I guess I grew up in a biker tattoo, old school tattoo designs, and then Junior introduced me to work like this, and he was doing this, 20 years ago. And without the
That color.
technology these guys have, and that the understanding art that these guys have, and then using technology and putting it down, like the patience to do that rose, look at that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
Saga he's
Yeah,
been
look at
working
the
on this.
texture in that main curl with the white highlighting to bring the
Ye-
veins up.
yeah, the little ripples in there, I mean, old school tattooing was like bam bam, you lay in some colors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're thinking that out right there. That's beautiful.
He's
Wow.
got, I don't know if you have any pictures queued up of I believe she's his partner, but Hip Bean is her Instagram handle. And
That's
she's
fun.
basically got like a bodysuit that she's been working on. That's her right there. Look at how covered she is.
Look at that head.
Her whole body's
man.
like this.
Mm.
Look how vibrant
it's-
that skull piece is. That's just.
And
Man,
there's
that's
no
mind-blowing.
shortcuts to this. You can tell
Dude.
that like the space behind the meteorites and stuff, you can tell that space is beautifully velvety saturated, and he's left these where the white and the light blues and stuff are tucked in, he's left those negative. So he had the
Negative, yeah.
foresight to know that they're going in there. Like he's not just coloring huge fields, he's making these huge fields look smooth and beautiful.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
planning process to stay on that is intense because I mean, I've started pieces honestly where you plan on leaving those negative spaces and then you're like, oh shit, so you kind of have to change your design. So the planning involved in what he's doing there is just to be able to see so far ahead to the next 7 colors.
Yep.
Wow.
Not easy. I do a lot of like outer space work and stuff like this, but I love how distinctive his work is. Like it's just, he goes from smooth fields of color to very active, very vibrant fields simultaneously, like just side by side. And I love it. I just can't.
You know what I've
I
always
can't get
loved
enough of looking at his work.
loving about his work when I look at it, what I love a lot, and I love other people's work, don't get me wrong, but when you look at Saga's work, not only is his fields of color great, but zoom in and check out his line work. I mean, a lot of people
it's
do so
super
much
crispy.
they do so much fancy stuff with their color that their lines aren't actually great. And I could name a few people, but I won't. But you can, their work's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but you zoom in on that Saga piece and there's not a weak line in that mask, or in that lady's hair is probably as fine as hair gets, you know what I mean? And you'd think with all that trickery going on you don't need that, but he stays true to every element of tattooing in this.
Look at the shading in her leg and the muscle contour and the
That's
tone.
what I mean. You could have easily, a lot of people would have easily just based in the basics of it, but I mean that thing has the shadow of her hand hanging over the leg.
Yeah.
I mean, that's intense. What a beautiful man. And that's what makes me love tattooing, and why I love going to expos and being around it, is to see this. And you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
man,
look at the
that'll make
back, the backlighting on the Star Wars piece, man. With the oranges coming out of the space, how it hits the helmet. That reminds me of an old Adrian Lee. You remember the welding piece, Gabe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Just that dynamic lighting. That's just come on, man. Guys like this make me want to quit. Or they make me want to get better, which to stay in this business, to be relevant, you got to work hard constantly on your skills.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I've been fortunate to work around people to help me realize that throughout the years and pull these techniques,
Sure.
like my first part of my career, like I say, I was taught, old school biker tattooing, which shows you the fundamentals, which are very important. And then,
Sure.
getting with Junior and learning all the crazy art stuff. And then I worked with Mike Schultz, who, taught me how to use the technology a little bit better to lay out some of these patterns to make this possible. And, each one of these people have added to my skill level, you know what I mean? Um,
Well,
so,
I mean, that's this whole network reinventing the tattoo. It's all about progression and elevation in tattooing in every facet.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of this, man.
Tell me
Since
what
I
you,
hooked up with Gabe, and I'm so blessed that Gabe called me during COVID to recruit me into this, because I I felt like I was ready to give up. And then he's like, "Hey man, come on, check this out. Get involved with these teams." And he actually propelled me to where I'm at now, man. It's pretty fantastic. So
Cheers.
this is
I,
definitely a
I agree
great
with that.
platform.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Even with Indy gone and taking off and everything, just there's so much that you once you get in, you're like, wow, this is almost defeating. But Fawn and then bringing me on reinventing the tattoo last year or last couple of years, and being on there on a regular basis really kind of helped propel me to like get re-involved and actually be part of the community, and not trying to be part of the community outside of being part of the community is really defeating. And then when you actually get involved with people, so thanks Fawn, thank you guys for bringing me
Self-propelled.
on a long time ago and helping me stay involved and pulling me through sometimes.
Well, thanks for taking the time to join us all those times.
Yeah, I've been missing it. I think the last few times I've seen you, I was like, hey man, like, man, I miss my weekly meetings with you guys.
Yeah, the convention
We're
time
getting on the
kicks
ball
in.
again. We'll be doing the tattoo collecting. I'm in the process of making it grow up a little bit, so we'll be a little
Cool.
bit more organized like this show, and obviously directed towards the collector more than the tattooer. But I I just think it's important always to involve the collectors in the conversation. Like
Well,
even if we're not actually speaking to them, we were talking about Mike Stivers walking up to tattooers and being like, you're just a tattooer, right? And we are,
Yeah.
but if we don't have the collector sitting there waiting months for us to work on them, paying their hard-earned money, like I feel like it doesn't matter how much of a rock star of an artist you are, if you don't have the clients that love you and have faith in you and want to wear your work for the rest of their lives, you don't have a job. So we can talk about our own egos all we want all day long. Who's got an ego? Who doesn't have an ego? But at the end of the day, it's our clients that make this industry. It's not us.
oh
If
yeah.
I don't have people wanting me to work on them, I'm working retail.
Yep.
You know
And
what I
that's what I
mean? Like,
respect about somebody putting that work in like Saga's doing there too. I mean, that's respect to your client. I mean, you're not doing that for, I mean, yeah, you're doing it, you're proud of your work and everything, but like that's respecting somebody paying $200-300 an hour, their whole paycheck for one session with you.
mhm.
So they deserve that turnout, and they also deserve the tattoo expos because it gives them an opportunity to go show off what their hard work paid for.
No, I agree with you, Fawn. If it wasn't for our clients, we'd just be tattooers with some equipment sitting on the table. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, we'd be struggling artists like most artists who aren't tattooers. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of artists, there's a lot of amazing artists. I've tattooed clients before. They're like, oh, I used to do art when I was in school, but I didn't know what to do with it when I got out. And then they bring me
Mhm.
something. I'm like, damn, I'm not even that good of an artist. Like, you should have started tattooing. But, it
Yeah.
did, think about it too. It wasn't, now it's open to where a lot of people know that. But I don't think it was back then. A lot of people didn't know, there's a lot of our clients that love art, and that's why they propel us and they keep us moving and they come and buy our work because they love art and they love
Mhm.
to see it come together. And some of them are even artists that, part of their, to them, getting tattooed by us is almost living out part of their dream of being an artist because they got to, especially if you're one who works with your client, you know what I mean? And kind of gets their feeling out of it. I had a lady the other day and I took it as my best compliment in 30 years. She said, you know why I booked with you? And I was like, well, I hope you like my work, just being silly,
Mhm.
And she's like, no, I like your work. I looked it up. She's like, but my son was getting tattooed by one of your artists the other day. And the way you talk to your clients in the lobby made me book an appointment with you. And I was like, damn, that's the best comment I think that's literally the best compliment I've ever gotten in tattooing. I love when somebody says my work's great and all, but to say, hey, I love how you treated people is why I
Mhm.
booked with you. That was something different to me. And that was like my ultimate goal in tattooing is to make sure that, the clients are, I mean, man, we wouldn't have nothing without them. I mean, wow. And I live a great life because of my clients, you know what I mean?
You know, it's a funny thing. I even catch myself being mindful about how I spend my money. You know, we can make as much as we want. Like I said, if we're organized and we market ourselves, we can make as much as we want. And that being said, we can spend as much as we want, and we can waste money on frivolous things and all of that. But like at the end of the day, I do remember how hard my clients have worked for their money. Like I worked for a day of this, but they might have been saving for an entire month or 2 months for their session with me.
Mm.
So for me, it's like it matters where I spend my money. You know, it matters to them to save, to give it to me for the service I'm providing. But also, I like to be mindful and respectful of how I spend it. Like, there are some things, like, for instance, I could be in a casino all day and I'm not going to spend more than 40 or 50 bucks gambling just because I think that's disrespectful to my clients. Like, I feel like they have worked hard for it. I have in turn worked hard for it. And I'm just using that as an example of like that respect and that mindfulness that I like to carry with me all the time, because, you know, my clients allow me to do this. Like yes, I work hard. Yes, I'm always trying to get better. Yes, I'm always like seeing what the masters of fine arts are doing, as well as the masters of tattooing that I look up to. But at the end of the day, you know, when we go to conventions, we're doing that so we can make our work on a client. So I just think it's really important to stay mindful and stay humble, because if not for that person emailing us or calling us or DMing us that they want our work, we don't have a job. We don't have this amazing make-believe job. We don't have this community. So if it's not for the collectors signing up to lay on our table like a slab of meat all day and sacrifice their body and their paycheck and all of the things, if we don't have them, we don't have this livelihood that we all are so passionate about and care so much about. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I do the Tattoo Collecting 101. And I just feel like there's not a lot of places that give the glory back to the collector. And at the end of the day, it's the collector that signs up that allows us to do what we do.
I really agree with that 100%. And I think that's why Indy was successful, because I think the collectors here more were screaming for it than the artists even, you know. And I mean, first year we had like 3,000 people through the door easy, because the collectors were craving it. And it was like, then I realized, like, putting all that in there, and my first interview with Kingpin, when we were talking about that, I was like, wow, like, you know, like, at first I'm thinking, man, I'm putting a lot of my own personal money in this. But no, I was putting the collectors' money back into them so that they could come and experience how amazing tattooing is for us. And, you know, with all the mental health things, I think tattooing, you know, covers that. And it's the one room you can walk into as a client or an artist, and no one cares about any of your oddness that other people would call, you know what I mean? And seeing how it meant to the collectors the first year was just overwhelming to me. Like, you know, if they got a place to come and show, like, they spent their whole paycheck, man, to get on that stage for 5 seconds. Is, I know people get up there and they're just so tickled to be up there. I mean, the way they come off, they're excited, even if they don't win. I mean, they're just excited they got to show it off. And it's just fascinating to see what the collectors do for us. And I think that's why you want to do work like Saga's doing, like Fawn's doing, Tony, myself. You know, you want to do work that says thank you to them when they leave. Not that they paid you, not because they paid you for it, because you want to thank them for allowing you to do it. And I think that goes a lot further. And, you know, when people were posting not too long ago about being slow, I was like, that's because you suck at taking care of people. Because I've never been slow. I don't know where this slow season came from that people were talking about last year or this year. And I told people I'm not like one of these hot tattoo artists known for everything. I used to tell people the only reason I'm the busiest tattoo artist in Indianapolis, I'm the nicest.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I mean, you know what I mean? If you know me outside there, you're like, oh man, Chris is one kicking people's ass all the time. And he's rough. But man, with my clients, I only go places that treat me like a king. So when you come to my place, I treat you like a king.
Yeah.
Each and every single one of you. You know what I
You're
mean?
like family. It's like Lou
yes.
Pappins. Your family here.
And you
I
know,
always
I've been
tell
tattooing
people
long
that
enough now that I'm tattooing my clients as kids or grandkids even now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Nice.
I like
So,
reminding my collectors and clients that their tattoo day is their spa day. It's all about them,
Yeah.
whatever they want, whatever they need. This is the equivalent to your spa day. If we need to order food, we'll order it. If we need to take a break, we'll take it's your day. It's your spa day. Whatever you need, we're gonna make it happen.
awesome. Hey, so acting as a producer. Time to sign off, everybody. We have the last video is going to be a bunch of testimonials from the last Paradise show, so it'll be a little plug for Paradise. But before we do that, let's have let everybody know how to get to their shows, and then we'll sign off. We'll get it. We'll close the show out before.
I'm prepared. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, all you.
Oh, I'm Tony Urbanek. I do 2 conventions. Me and my partner, Elizabeth Clay, do 2 conventions. Rubber City Tattoo Invitational. That's this July 26th through 28th, Akron, Ohio. 150 booths, entertainment, food, fun, celebration. And then we're doing one in our hometown in Cranberry, Pennsylvania. It's about 35 minutes north of Pittsburgh, and that's the week before Thanksgiving. And this is a tight-knit show, and it's focused on community, education, celebration, holidays. It's a theme. It's a whole thing. Keep your eyes out. www.Rubber City Tattoo Invitational. Google it, and at Cranberry Tattoo Classic. Website's coming for that because it's a new one. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate you, Gabe, Fawn, Guy, for making this platform for us. And you need anything, email me anytime.
Fun.
Thanks for joining us, Tony.
I'm Chris Taylor from Indie Tattoo Expo in Danville, Indiana. You can catch us at IndieTattooExpo.com or at Indie Tattoo Expo on Instagram. We're June 14th through the 16th this year. We will showcase tattoo history at our expo. We have 100 years of tattoo history on display, lots of entertainment. The circus will be there this year, about 125 tattoo booths and 40 vendor booths. Thank you guys for having me on here. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with such legends and help further Indie Tattoo Expo to be better for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we should give Jesse Smith a plug because he had the dip. And he runs the Richmond Tattoo Arts. It's looking like October 18th through 20th this year, hosted by Ink Master winner Ryan Ashley Markley and Jesse Smith. I've been doing that show for 30 years, so look them up.
I'm going to try to get out to that run this year. I have a really cool piece of history I bought in Florida. I bought a 1989 Richmond Tattoo history. It's like I don't know, it's like just a binder. It has a bunch of Richmond tattoo, all their artists in there and everything. So something cool I'd like to take out and show to Jesse.
You should give that to Jesse.
Yeah, he would love it. I'd pay like $5 for it too in his box of stuff. So
I got some stuff for him too.
Yeah, he's gonna love this thing. I mean, it's got everybody you could think of in there, their pictures, and then like the whole layout of how they laid out Richmond in 1998.
That's amazing.
Or not 98, 89. And then like Doc Holliday, Spiderweb, all of them have signed this book too. Like there's 20 signatures in there. It's really rad book. Yeah, when we were talking about that, I'm like, I'm gonna get out there and just give this to him. He'll love to see this book.
My God, you're
his
best
friend.
Yeah.
You know, I love the history.
If you guys are out and about at shows and you happen to see me there with True Tattoo Supply or just on my own, rubbing elbows, I almost always have my camera with me, and I'm always down to take an interview or a testimonial if you would like to share any of your tattoo stories. If you're a collector and you want to share like your passion, your collection, all of that, just track me down anytime. I literally always have my camera and I'm at least a mic with me. So if you would like to contribute, that would be a really easy way to, contribute a few minutes without the like on the spot feeling of being live with a whole group of us. But yeah, you can find me at tattoocollecting.com or my Instagram and Facebook handles are just Fawn Baker. So.
Awesome. Sweet.
Thanks,
okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody. Thanks to Guy. I'm Gabe Ripley for the event convention promoter part of my hat. Reinventingthetattoo.com/live is the next Reinventing Live we talked about a little bit earlier at Red Street Tattoo, June 23rd to the 26th, I believe. We're partnering with Rember. It's going to be 3 days of business in the morning, in the early afternoon. Then we do art in the afternoon, evening, and then we have paint nights at night. Then tattoogathering.com is the is a big event in October 24th to the 27th. It's at Jiminy Peak in Western Mass, tattoogathering.com. And then, yeah, I'm going to play some of the testimonials from last year on the way out. So thanks again, everybody. We'll catch up next Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern.
See you guys.
Let's see.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you,
guys.
Is this going to work?
Woohoo!
See ya.
The Paradise Tattoo Gathering is one of my favorite events that I look forward to all year long. One of the cool things about any of the Paradise retreats or gatherings is that it's education oriented, but we're like celebrating the art as well, and we're celebrating what brings our community together as tattooers and artists. This is one of those events that, like, you know, if you're early in your career, this can be a game changer because you get to meet the artists in a very intimate way.
I didn't really know what I was coming to. I feel like it was super chill, super friendly, very familiar. Not a regular tattoo convention, not really a convention, more like a hanging out of people who really share the love of tattooing and want to improve. I was talking about that with people this morning, how the tattoo industry and tattoo conventions, there's like a ranking and status and a lot of ego, but I realized that the type of artist that comes here is somebody who really cares about their art and their craft, and their objective is that. And that sets the vibe for everything.
My name's Annie. This is my first time at Paradise Gathering. I have been watching this since the BYOB online and been like wanting to go to it. I'm only been tattooing for a year and a half, and my whole time here was spent doing seminars, and they were super helpful. And I'm really hoping that there's another one of these because I'll be going and dragging my coworker with me.
Hi, I'm BJ Johnson. I go by Soba1. It's at soba1.com. What did I like about the Paradise Gathering? Man, this is like my fourth time here, I think. I love the grounds are amazing. The layout is amazing, and the type of people that this show attracts is very much in alignment with, you know, education, growth, camaraderie, like I've said before. So yeah, that's why I like this one.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Ramey. This is my first year here at the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Everything that I experienced here was everything I thought that this industry was supposed to be. Like when I decided that I even wanted to pursue this, I want to learn, I want to grow as a person and as an artist, and everybody here fosters that mentality. I learned so much from quick interactions with people that I have always been too intimidated to even approach. But I also attended seminars that gave me a whole new viewpoint on what it is to even be doing what we are doing, and what we are doing is important.
My name is Mickey Schlick, and Paradise Tattoo Gathering was awesome this year. We got together and had a lot of great education, sharing of ideas, and meeting good people. Fun time to hang out.
Hi, I'm Lita Edwards, owner of Metamorphosis Inc. out of Florida. Paradise this year was absolutely amazing. Even at my length of time, 15 years in tattooing, I absolutely come and I learned so many things that I didn't even know. So it's a great event. It helped hone my career in the beginning 12 years ago. And so I'm super excited. I'm very proud and honored to be a part of it this year.
So my name is Jason Leeser. The Paradise Tattoo Gathering this year in 2023 was absolutely incredible. I made some amazing new friends, got to meet some of the people I really look up to and learn directly from. The amount of knowledge I gained while I was here is unlike anything I've ever encountered anywhere else. I've taken seminars from incredible artists all over the place. Nothing compares to the environment and the atmosphere, learning that I got to do here at the Paradise Gathering this year. It was unbelievable, and I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to really level up their game, really take their tattooing to another level, and really get better at the core fundamentals of art and design and tattooing.
I'm Renee Little. I own Goldfang Gallery. I've been tattooing for over 17 years, and this is my second time at Paradise Tattoo Gathering. And again, it was a wonderful display of people coming together and artists coming together and being able to play in the sandbox of life. We all got to paint every day or learn every day or commune with others every day. There is an option every single day, every hour, I think, to do just about anything you could do in this field. It was a great networking moment. There's a lot of apprentices here, so I know every single seminar was filled. And also a great opportunity to network and also to refine your painting skills, because you can just do that wherever you want and anywhere in the property. So it's been a beautiful weekend. The weather was gorgeous and the hill was gorgeous. I tattooed a lot. I tattooed every day. And I was surrounded by some of my most favorite artists that I've ever known of. We're all here.
It's truly paradise. In fact, when we were doing the collaborative drawings that we do here, usually, I heard one of the girls that I brought, she's new to these events, she said, "This is paradise." And I was like, yeah, girl, it is. Beyond that, you just gotta come. You gotta come and experience for yourself. There's not very much I can tell you guys, except for every person that I talk to, it's life-changing to come here. It's invigorating, and it makes you want to tattoo in other ways and so much more than you ever thought you could. So do it, you'll have a new heat for what you love.